Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a day in the life video, so a snapshot of what it's like a day in my life as an education consultant. And today, it was a Saturday, but I was attending the virtual UKLA National Conference 2021 Writing for Pleasure. So I was really looking forward to attending this conference, firstly because I love conferences and I haven't been able to go to one for ages because obviously lockdown, so everything's been cancelled. And this is one of the first ones that I've come across where they've put an entire conference online. So really excited to go for that reason. And also because I feel like so much of the current conversation in education at the moment is around reading, especially early reading and phonics, which obviously is my thing, but I'm interested in all of literacy, and it was really exciting to me that this conference is about writing for pleasure. I think there's going to be some excellent conversation coming up in education about writing. People are getting interested and saying, well, we talk about reading all the time, but what about writing? So this is a two-day conference. Today was Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday, and I'm not attending Sunday because the Sunday part of the conference is only for practicing teachers. And obviously as a consultant, I didn't qualify for that, so I just went for the Saturday. So the aims of their Writing for Pleasure conference was to explore things like how writing is taught effectively, how to attend to children's affective needs, creating communities of writers, children's enjoyment in the craft of writing, the role of publishing in creating a sense of satisfaction. So all things that really, really appealed to me and excited to me, and I was very much looking forward to attending. In terms of the agenda, so these are the things that we did. First, this morning, 9:30, 9:45, we had a welcome and introduction from Kathy Burnett, and she's absolutely lovely, really lovely, warm personality, gave a great introduction to the day. Amusingly, with it being a Saturday, I'd actually planned to have a bit of a pyjama day, and I switched on the Zoom link in my dressing gown. Luckily, I always put a post-it note over my camera just in case, and I realised that in the introduction people actually had their cameras on before they kind of got going with the day and switched everything off, so I had to quickly run off, dressing gown off, get dressed, get some makeup on. By the time I got back, actually all the cameras had gone off. But it was a lesson to myself in don't assume that something like a big conference with a lot of delegates is going to be all cameras off. And it was a really good turnout. There were about 125 people, I think they said, that attended. So really good turnout for them. So after Kathy did her introduction, we had a really great session from Ross Young and Felicity Ferguson from the Writing for Pleasure Centre, and they talked about what does it mean to write for pleasure? So that was an interesting talk. Then we had some morning workshops where we could break out and choose which workshop we went into. And there's a description of those on the screen. And I chose to go to MIRIAM Nash from Ministry of Stories. And she was talking about writing comedy. And I thought this would be really interesting because, well, who knows how to write comedy? I think humour, what appeals to adults and what appeals to children, that's quite a tricky area. So I was keen to learn from Miriam in that one, but I wish I could have gone to all of them, and I'm hopeful that when they send out the recordings, they might send out recordings of all the workshops so that we can hear them all. After that, we had a keynote from PIERS TORDAY, the author, absolutely brilliant. I had a bit of a lunch break, which flew past really, really quickly actually, and then we were back with afternoon workshops. And in the afternoon, there were lots of things that we could choose, but I chose to listen to Felicity Ferguson talking about children writing non-fiction with heart and voice. That was really good. And then after that, we had the second keynote speaker, and it was David Almond, the author. And again, a really good keynote. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the speakers and sort of signpost you really to some of the their websites and their resources. And one of the reasons I wanted to sort of share this information with you today about my experience at the conference is because I really think it's important that whether you are a student teacher, a practicing teacher, whether you've gone on to become a consultant, continued professional development is absolutely vital. And I think it's really worthwhile investing in yourself to attend courses if you can, persuade your school to put you on them if you can, because it motivates you, it keeps you current, it keeps you fresh, you know what conversations people are having, you learn a lot from them. And even if you don't always agree with everything somebody says, at least you're listening and you're hearing what's out there and what people are doing, what research is going on. I just think it's such an important part of being in education. So I want to promote to you today the idea of attending events like this, as well as telling you a little bit about this event that I've been to. So Felicity Ferguson and Ross Young are really lovely, natural people. Their resumes are incredibly impressive. They talked about what is writing for pleasure. So they gave a really interesting talk anyway. But if you go to their website, writingforpleasure.com, you can find out about the Writing for Pleasure Centre that they founded and that they run. It's a really usable website. They've got loads of very, very practical resources. So if, for example, you were a subject leader in your school and you want to develop or talk about writing in-house, there's loads of stuff that you can tap into there. So I highly recommend that you go there and find out about them. And one of my actions coming away from the course today is that I've actually gone and bought some of their recent books, and I'll show you those in a minute. And this is just a quote lifted from their website to explain a little bit about them. We have developed this research-rich website to share what is presently known to be the most effective teaching practices. It's our hope that teachers regard the Writing for Pleasure Centre as a place where they can access a specialist network and continued professional development for free. For free, magic words. So although we've all got to make our living, I absolutely love anybody that will share at least some of what they do for free. I think, you know, we all need to give back. We're all in this for the good of helping children and helping each other in the education community. So I think giving things for free is fantastic, and I'm always really willing to signpost people who give away decent free content. So really worth a visit, the writingforpleasure.com website, to learn more about Felicity Ferguson and Ross Young. So if you remember, I said that in my first breakout workshop, I attended a comedy writing workshop with MIRIAM NASH. She is a poet, if you didn't know it. Look her up. She has her own website, but she today in the conference was representing ministryofstories.org, who she works with. And Ministry of Stories, I hadn't actually heard of Ministry of Stories before today. But they are a team of people who help youngsters aged from about 8 years old to 18 in East London discover their confidence, imagination and potential through the power of their writing. And again, they've got a really fab website, definitely worth checking out their website. And really fascinating, they actually have a real shop called the Hoxton Street Monster Supplies, and it's just so inspirational, so motivating, gives you loads of great ideas for writing and for writing with children. But it's the kind of, Miriam's workshop and this concept of Ministry of Stories and the concept of the shop is the kind of content that makes you feel like a child again yourself. So I got fully absorbed into the process of this and was motivated by the things that Miriam was suggesting to motivate children. So really, really worth exploring. Ministry of Stories. And in terms of writing comedy, brilliant, absolutely genius, because I really entered this workshop thinking this is going to help me because there are things that I find funny. So I find wordplay funny and puns. Obviously, being a word nerd, I find those things humorous. And I find observations humorous. So when I watch things and I look at human nature, I find that funny. But I absolutely cannot stand slapstick or people hurting themselves or falling over. And so for me to be able to teach comedy to children, comedy writing, I have to kind of put aside that and understand and recognise that what I find funny and what I don't find funny is different from the next person, and that children often do find some simple slapstick very funny. And then the process that Miriam took us on to do this comedy writing, she really took us back to the basics and made it really clear these very simple steps, simple starting points, ways that everybody could have success. So super stuff, highly recommend. Piers Torday, fantastic author. His website is pierstorday.co.uk. Really good website to explore for yourself or with children. And I've just taken a little snapshot from his website on his frequently asked questions page. This is the kind of golden nugget that if you don't go exploring these authors' websites, you don't find. But look at this. Where do you get your ideas from? All the ideas for my books come from this website, www.ideasforpierstordaysbooks.com. Genius! You have to log on to access them. The username is lookup. Password all around you every day. Isn't that genius? So if you didn't know that, if you didn't look on his website and look at his frequently answered questions, you would miss that little opportunity to go and look at this website and log on with this secret password and this username to discover some great stuff for him. So he was very motivational, inspirational. He was talking about, as a writer, the process of starting with a blank page and how that can feel and how we can get past that feeling of blank page, writer's block. Where do I start? How do I get my ideas? What do I do? In the afternoon, I listened to Felicity Ferguson again, and she was talking about writing non-fiction with heart and voice. And I was particularly interested to hear about this because when I was at school myself, and when I was a student teacher, when I trained to become a teacher, and bear in mind I did a primary honours degree in primary education with English as a specialism, and at that point, which was quite a lot of years ago now, but at that point we were taught that non-fiction was this very boxed up, very specific genre writing, and there was a formula. So if you were going to write instructions or an instruction text, this was the exact formula, and if you didn't stick to that formula, it wasn't an instruction text, and it had to be, you know, very cold and very factual and very dry. And actually these days that's not what non-fiction looks like at all. The power of writing, the process, the craft of writing, it's entirely different. And really, she absolutely reassured me with my own beliefs and my own thoughts that writing non-fiction can absolutely be done with heart and voice. And it's a very fluid, flexible type of writing, hinged on what your purpose is and what reaction you're trying to generate from your reader. So that was a really great talk from Felicity Ferguson. And then the second keynote speaker, David Almond. And David Almond, I've heard him speak a few times now, and I just find him so natural and so warm and so humble, so ordinary in so many ways, not pretentious, not big-headed, just the loveliest guy, and he just oozes this passion, this motivating, inspirational information about his writing process, the way that he crafts his writing. And his website is another one, absolutely worth a really good look at, davidalmond.com. Loads on there about how he approaches writing. Fabulous stuff. So I thoroughly enjoyed my day listening to all those cool people, getting lots and lots of information, and then I try to make sure that when I attend a conference or a seminar or, you know, whatever I do, I try and have some takeaways. So something that I take away from the day, or an action, something I'm going to go and do above and beyond just absorbing the content from the day. So as this conference happened to fall at the end of the month, I made a list of what I call my payday treats, and I invested in some books for myself, having been inspired by the day. So my payday treats being end of the month, I haven't got any children's literature for at least a couple of weeks. So I actually immediately went away and treated myself to an Amazon order. I got David Almond's The Tale of Angelino Brown, David Almond's The Boy Who Climbed into the Moon, David Almond's The Boy Who Swam with Piranhas, and then I got Piers Torday's The Frozen Sea and Piers Torday's The Lost Magician. So I'm really excited about reading those, and I'm a big believer that if you are somebody who works in the field of education, especially primary education, especially English, but even if you don't, even if you just work in primary education with children, you've got to keep up to date with children's literature, and it's so rewarding. You know that when you make that time to read these books, you'll whip through them and you'll thoroughly enjoy them. And you can't recommend things to children, you can't learn from these authors, their craft in the way that they write, unless you actually read their books. So I am going to read these books, and I'm really looking forward to that. That was my children's literature treat. And then I also treated myself to some pedagogical reference books. So some new books out by Ross Young and Felicity Ferguson, the Writing for Pleasure Theory, Research and Practice book that they were referring to through their talks. Real World Writers, a handbook for teaching writing with 7 to 11-year-olds, again Ross Young and Felicity Ferguson. And then when I was on Amazon and I was purchasing those books, you know, it recommends texts to you. And I just thought, do you know what, let's go all in today. I'm really, you know, in the mood for this. So I also got Modelling Exciting Writing, a guide for primary teaching by Adam Bushnell, Rob Smith and David Waugh. And then I saw that Doug Lemov had released, very smartly, a Teaching in the Online Classroom, Surviving and Thriving in the New Normal. And I'm really into this conversation at the moment about online learning, what this looks like, how it might be the new normal, how some people are doing an amazing job, but that for all of us, this is new territory and we're kind of exploring and learning and finding out about how we can teach effectively online. So those were my payday treats, my new books that I will be devouring over the next few weeks, and I'll do some reviews for you and let you know how I get on with those, let you know what I think of them. So to sum it up, was it worth it? The pros for me about attending the UKLA conference today, I was able to attend from home, which was great because it was a Saturday and it would have been hard for me to give an entire day to the conference, to travel, to go to London or wherever they held it, to arrange childcare, but I could study it from home, so that was great. The speakers really were excellent quality, really good range, really good balance. Everybody was thoroughly enjoyable. And it achieved my continued professional development aims. So my belief in that I should, you know, always try and keep on top of the latest research, the latest conversations, that is what I was doing, and I achieved that. The cons, the downside for me, it was really hard to give my full attention and concentration because I had all my kids at home. I've got 4 kids at home today, ranging in ages from 3 to 15. And with the best will in the world, it was hard to actually take part in the workshops properly because they obviously kept coming in, disturbing me, having their demands. So I'm looking forward to getting the recordings and going back through. It was a really long day. We all know that being on Zoom for several hours a day is quite draining actually. And as really good as it was very intense and it was very long. And I might have preferred it broken up a little bit rather than this intense sort of 6-7 hour day. And then really the downside is the cost. So the cost of my ticket was £80 for the one day. I spent £95 on the books from Amazon that I ordered. It took a day of my time, which is always a cost factor. And then actually I didn't have UKLA membership, which of course I want to be a member of. So signing up for membership with them cost me £65. So that is, if I've done my maths right, a total of £240 plus the day invested in attending today. Now, I am an education consultant, my field is literacy, so for me this is just absolutely part of what I need to do for my job, for my work, and the money is paid out of my business, so it's not a big deal. But I like to make these things transparent to you because if you are a teacher and you want to attend this and you can't persuade your school to send you on the day, then obviously you've got to think about the cost implication in this CPD opportunity. I still think it's absolutely worth it. It was an outstanding day. So I hope you enjoyed my little breakdown of what I've been up to today. After I attended the course, I had a really lovely, again, more online, Zoom with some friends, some colleagues that are also friends. So we had a little chill out and digest at the end of the day. And that's it now. Catch you soon.